Hello and welcome to the Midweek Thought. So my thought for this week comes from what we looked at last Wednesday at EXP, which came from Matthew chapter 15, verses 21 to 28. And what we were looking at here is the disciples' prejudice towards the Gentile people at the time. Because here we have a Gentile woman who came to Jesus pleading, saying, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David, for my daughter is possessed by a demon that torments her severely." But Jesus gave her no reply, not even a word. So within our groups, one group went down let's look at the disciples, let's look at how they treated other people. And the other group got stuck on, but wrestled with this verse, being verse 23. But Jesus gave her no reply, not even a word. And the conversation in that particular group went to how they relate to this lady, how they can be praying and asking God, and it feels like he is just ignoring them. And sometimes our prayers do go unanswered, and sometimes we can pray for things and nothing happens. And this, as I say, this passage in itself is a really uncomfortable passage in how we see Jesus treat this lady, but we know it's for good intentions, and we know that he's doing it to teach his disciples, but also as well to test her faith. He didn't just simply turn around and say, "Of course you know who I am, your daughter is healed," because it goes on, and the disciples urged him to send her away, to tell her to go away. They said, "She's bothering us with all her begging." And Jesus said to the woman, "I was sent only to help God's lost sheep, the people of Israel." But she came and worshipped him, pleading again, "Lord, help me." Jesus responded, "It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs." She replied, "That's true, Lord, but even the dogs are allowed to eat the scraps that fall beneath their master's table." "Dear woman," Jesus said to her, "your faith is great, your request is granted." And her daughter was instantly healed. And so, although at first she prayed, she said, she worshipped Jesus, she acknowledged who he was, saying, "You are the Son of David, you are the Messiah, you are the one who they say you are. And therefore, I believe that you can heal my daughter." And I think there was an element of him saying, "Okay, you know who I am, but how far are you willing to go? How far does your faith stretch? Because if I don't reply and you just walk away, then where is your faith?" But she persisted. She carried on. And so my thought for this week for you is, how many times have you prayed and it's not been answered? How many times have you carried on with that prayer until something has happened, whether you've got an answer or something close to what you wanted? Because it's a really uncomfortable thought, because what we read, we say, seek and you will find God. Not you may find God, or you might find God, or if you look hard enough you should. No, just seek and you will find him. You will. There's certainty here. There's not a sort of a grey area. It's either you will or you won't. And then when it talks about praying, because there's so much in here about prayer and what we should do, and ultimately it's to be persistent in prayer. But also as well, it's a case of, are we praying and are we asking God for the right thing? Are we asking the right question? And it also reminds me of a time from the film Bruce Almighty, where he says, "Lord, give me a sign," and he's driving down. It's rainy. It's horrible, horrible. You can't really see anything, and there are all these signs flashing up as he's driving past, and he's not paying attention to any of those signs. And yet he said to God, he said, "Lord, give me a sign," and yet he's had so many signs, and he just doesn't see them. And so sometimes is that where we fall? And we've prayed, God's answered, God's given us what we have prayed for, but obviously sometimes he delivers or answers our prayers in ways that we don't fully think of or fully expect. Lord, I'm hungry, give me food. So therefore I think, fabulous, okay, here's a nice big burger, that's fabulous, that's going to eat me. Rather than, oh look, there is a fish that I could catch. So whatever it may be, so he answers in different ways. And that's a really bad example, but hopefully you get the gist of it. And so yes, so sometimes he may answer in ways that we don't fully expect. So when we feel that we've been praying, but our prayers have not been answered, maybe they have. Maybe it's in such a way that we just don't see it. Maybe we're like Bruce from Bruce Almighty. He's given us our answer, but it's not what we want. So therefore we don't recognize it. An example is, and this is probably from me, is, Lord, I need help. I can't do this by myself. Lord, I need you. I need your strength. I need you to re-energize me. I need you to help me with this. So I think partially to myself, I think there's a part, look, God's going to come and give me divine help, divine intervention. When actually the answer to prayer is someone says, oh, can I, help you set up at the church? Or can I do this for you? Or can I do that for you? And of course, me being me, I'm like, no, it's all right. I've got it. It's fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I've just prayed for help. Someone's offered help. But it wasn't quite fully the answer that I was looking for. Nevertheless, God answered that prayer. He sent that person to help me. But I was just blinded to it. And so we're told in the Bible that, or in Luke 18, chapter 18, one of the parables here is about the persistent widow who goes on and on to this judge about wanting righteousness for whatever has happened. But she's persistent. She's going on and on. And he finally gives in. He says, fine, I will be that fair judge. And when we're told to be persistent in prayer, it does not mean endless repetition or painfully long prayer sessions. Start off with, Lord, help me with this. Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, Lordy, Lord. It doesn't mean to go on. It doesn't mean to drag it out. It doesn't mean the longer it is, the more he's going to be willing to hear you. But what it means is consistent prayer, keeping our requests continually before God as we live for him day by day, believing he will answer. And of course, when we live by faith, we are not to give up. And sometimes, hear me out, God may delay our answers, or he may delay answering, but his delays always have good reasons. Because it's in his timing, it's not in ours. And even in that space where we think nothing is happening, something definitely is. And another quick story. as many of you probably know, is Joseph. Got sold into slavery, into Egypt, head of house, very good, ended up being slightly naughty and then getting unfairly thrown into prison, and was in prison, I believe, for 13 years. And for him, no doubt, he was praying, Lord, what is going on here? You've given me these visions, you've given me these dreams, and people are going to bow down before me. What's going on? Where are you, Lord? And just read the Psalms as well. Psalms are full of it, full of distress, full of my heart is heavy, full of I am discouraged. But yet, in Romans 12, verse 12, it says, rejoice in our confident hope, be patient in trouble, and keep on praying. That's the key bit there. Be patient in trouble, because life is like this, to this, to this, to this. And trouble will come around at some point. But it's to keep on praying. And then it goes on and it says, when God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. So, I don't know if you have a prayer that you've been praying for a long, long time, and it is still yet to happen. But be confident in the fact that we should continually pray. And also as well, find your brother and sister in Christ. Join together in prayer. Pray for one another. When someone is in need, encourage them. When someone is in need, okay, at the moment this is a very difficult time, but we can still, within small groups and socially distanced and safe and all that jazz, come together, have a cuppa. You know, what's going on? What's really kind of going on? And let's share our prayers. And keep that faith that they will be answered. Because even Jesus in the garden pleaded with God, said, take this cup from me. Because it's too much to bear. His prayer did not get answered. Because he did say, if it is your will, then I shall. But nevertheless, he prayed. And it didn't get answered. So sometimes, yes, we might pray and we will never have an answer to those prayers. But sometimes we might, and it might be in a way in which we didn't see, which we didn't expect. So come alongside one another in prayer and keep that prayer alive. Don't let that flame die out. And I know it's hard to keep praying and seeing no results. But have faith that God will answer. It may not be now. It may be 10, 20, however long and however many years down the road before he answers, or he may never answer. I mean, it's been 20 years and he still hasn't flourished me with that, with lovely locks of hair. So some prayers just will not be answered. But with that, keep praying. He hears you. He is not ignoring you, but is in his timing. So I hope that blesses you. I hope that gives you something to think about. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.